Okay, are we ready to get going, folks?
Yes.
Okay, good. Do we have minutes? I didn't see.
I wasn't here last meeting.
Yeah, we didn't have a quorum last meeting.
All right. Okay, so let's jump into old business and see what's happened with the facilities.
Okay, well, facilities, the biggest problem we've had is irrigation. We had Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, please. And it's gonna hit on our budget, and, anyway, we had the new board put in that we had gotten money from our revolving fund. And after that, we had, foot valve rotted away, a pipe break, the Impala went, and there were some other things that had to be replaced inside, and the total cost was about $10,000, in addition to what it cost for the panel. So, we've got the money right now, but the problem, we have aging systems, and we have aging tennis courts, aging basketball courts, aging irrigation. So when I present the budget, I'll bring something in next time, but we're going to have to account for some of that. Last year, I think Sid estimated 30 heads at Nelson Road had to be changed. And that's not pond water, that's Pennachuck water. So I think it's just a matter of age. We've had, after we had the big break, the $10,000 one, there was another break on field 6. And again, we're lucky that Kevin was around, because I don't think Sid and I could have handled that, but the aging system creates problems. And I don't think of them as aging at first glance, because it seems like we just got them, but they're over 20 years old. So it's just things we have to take care of. Same thing that happened with the playground. Playground's about 20-plus years old, and stuff breaks. So the facilities, the irrigation was the big problem. We think we have it all. Kevin will know better. Are we in?
I was out there today. I was out there today. There's a problem with one of the clocks for fields 1 through 3. And it ended up being a module, which will be fairly cheap to replace. But when I went to leave, one zone was still up and it wouldn't shut off. So when I left, I had to shut the pump off. So that means none of the fields will get watered tonight. And Sid's gonna figure out what that is tomorrow. And that's probably another solenoid valve down in the ground. And he's gotta go down, take it apart, put a new one in.
It's not an easy fix. It's not like you reach up to the panel and this is gone, you take it out, put a new one in, okay, we're all set.
Yeah.
Getting to it, digging a hole, fixing it, and then patching it up after, and it's just an aging system.
Are we losing the valves or are we losing the pipe, or both?
So both. The break at field 6 was right at the end of main line, and they put a big rock behind the 90. Well, they have to, because these are slip-on fittings when they put them in. They're like a commercial water system in the city. They use the big slide-on gasketed fittings, and that 3-inch 90 just split in half. And those fields 6 and 7 have given us a lot of trouble because it was a different person that put those in. So Sid's always replacing the flexible joints in there, but this one was a main line, so we were able to fix that. The field one, the pond pump, that drive is like 22 years old. The guys that replaced it said they've never seen one that old. They go like 10 or 12 years, and at work, I'm spending about 200 grand replacing 12-year-old drives. So to see one go 22 years, that's unheard of.
Hmm.
So, it just really age.
Yeah, I think it,
And unfortunately, this next one probably won't go 22 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's gonna be like a washing
5.
machine.
Right.
We'll probably get 3 years out of it now.
It's more the heads that are going.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah, but Field 6 has been a problem for the last few years.
don't know why.
Yeah,
Seems like one thing after another on that.
it was that one person.
Yeah.
And not only that, this last one that broke, it was like 4 feet deep. It's only supposed to be like 18 inches. So it must be that main line just like takes a dive down, and so it's just more and more work.
So, here we are with the facilities.
Mhm.
We also, I've got another complaint just now, a concern, not a complaint, a concern. We tried to set the lights for the basketball court,
Mhm.
and Sid tried it, and the guy just sent me a text message that it's not working. So,
I didn't get out to the tennis court. Did the tennis court
I think that,
start up on its own, or?
I was gonna go over after the meeting and try it and see if it
I'll
worked.
go with you,
Okay.
because that came up too, 2 weeks ago.
But again, that board for the tennis courts may need to be replaced, and I don't know that, but,
But that's 25 or 30 years old.
yeah,
That started, that went in before I even got involved.
yeah, so,
So what I'm hearing is that we really need to take a serious look of really, I mean, I know we talked about those lists and stuff about replacing like equipment along, but we're really probably talking about major facility upgrades before, I mean, it's just gonna continue to happen, right?
well, yeah, we're talking about, basically about money for the budget,
Yeah, and to
and
replace
and
these
it,
20, 30-year-old.
yeah,
But they're more expensive too,
Right.
you know? Some of the stuff used to be, hundreds of dollars, now it's thousands, and the drive used to be 5,000, now it's 11.
so I think
That's pretty significant.
what I'm gonna present is that we need, because of the aging system, we need, first of all, we need more money. And we need more man-hours. You know, so for Sid to be down in the, digging down 4 feet, I just don't see that as the good return on our investment of labor when we got our number one field guy digging a hole,
I would agree.
you know,
So
so.
Tony Hannah replaced the pipe too.
Yeah, and we had a pipe break, Tony replaced the pipe, and I remember, that was last,
That got reported on.
that's from last year's budget, but it's just, it just,
Oh,
I don't know.
Just something they
Can
gotta
I-
add
can I
in.
make a suggestion that we, next meeting, we sit down, let's get a list of what we have here. We tried a long-range plan at one point, and we just kinda, it fell apart. We were looking at that. Let's look at what's under the table or under the ground to start with. Let's come up with a plan. The place where it should be is in the maintenance trust fund.
Mhm.
That's where it should be
Yep.
taken out of there. You have your budget, your O&M budget to operate the programs and stuff like that. And then you should have your maintenance trust to handle this stuff here.
We should have Sid here for that meeting, and actually, he could list all the things he
No,
thinks.
before we get to that point, Sid is welcome and I love him and he come, but I would like it written down, not that we're doing a, do we get that? Do we get that? No. Let's make a list where we have, if we have a relatively age of when we put the stuff in, so we can look at it and start making a reasonable, long-range plan based on the age and what we're seeing out there and the conditions that we're using. If it's pond water, it's different than the city water type of deal. So that's what I would suggest at the next meeting, a workshop type of meeting where we sit down, we have some drawings, we look at some drawings, we make a list of all this stuff, and then we start prioritizing them. And then we go out and we say, okay, what is it gonna cost us to replace these things? What is the most critical aspects of the system that we have to go after first. I think that's what we need to do. We come here and we can go to facilities is great, and we just bought a tractor and the battery's not working, and we're not accomplishing anything. Let's accomplish something and come up with a long-range maintenance plan for the fields that we have.
Well, and the courts, the basketball court and tennis courts,
Right. Can we use that as a segue? Roberta Davis is here to discuss tennis courts, but courts in general. Would you mind coming up now to discuss that, since we're kind of on this topic and it's...
Well, it sounds perfect,
Right.
like you've already
Thank
started to consider this, that's great. Can I just sit here a
Yeah,
second?
I think you're fine.
Okay.
All mics should be on.
So, have been a resident for 40 years. I've worked with recreation for the past 20-plus years. Worked with Skip Burbine in his summer tennis program years and years ago. When he passed away, I started the Skip Burbine Memorial Tennis Tournament with his wife Patrice and children. That's been going on for 5 years. I started the Londonderry Tennis Camp program to offer tennis lessons to the kids 4 years ago. Reinstated and coached the high school boys tennis team 3 years ago. And I've been working to getting the tennis courts resurfaced for the past 5 years. So I did get some funds to patch the courts, and we've done that twice. But I've been to the finance, I've been to Mike Malaguti, I've been to everybody to try to say that the recommendation is that we take $25,000 and resurface them for 5 years versus $5,000 every year to patch. So, just some perspective. We had the pickleball come up, which I think is a great program. I think it's going to be awesome. But I didn't vote it in because I don't feel like we should be throwing darts at things. I don't feel like I want to vote something in for $500,000 when what's the big plan? I want to know what the plan is for recreation. I've lived here 40 years. I've never seen anything change from when we were 40 years ago till now. The staff, basically it's been a small, I don't think the town is really supporting it the way the town should be. I think it's a vital part of a healthy, happy, well-run town, and I don't see the commitment for recreation. So that's, I went to Art and talked to Doug, and I've kind of been around just kind of making small talk with people about what I think needs to happen. I'm willing to, get group people together to do some kind of investigating and support the town with a decision. But I think between the budget, which is way too low, and the staff, which is not, we're just not even anywhere near the towns that, around us. I think where you really see it is when you're coaching tennis and you're on 4 courts that are all broken, and we're Londonderry, and I'm ashamed to say that we go to all kinds of other towns that are, certainly we go to Bedford that has, they live for tennis, so it's a different demographics, but the towns like Keene just put in 6 beautiful new courts, and I know there's some, there's a little bit of who owns the courts and who does whatever with the school and whatever, but years ago, Howard Sobolov said that there was land behind the school for new courts. So I think there's just gotta be a plan. There's gotta be like a talk with the town, and how does recreation fit in? And can it be a big, it should be a big part of the town, I would think. It feels very small right now, but I think it needs to be, I think our tax rate's awesome compared to other towns, but I think that we're not doing justice to some of the departments we need to do. And I think recreation is one of the big ones for families, and we always attracted a lot of kids and a lot of families, so I think we need to do it, right? Yep.
See a lot of these towns too now. My kids are all young, and I would agree with you. You go, and I'm like,
It's just, it's not that we need to be the biggest or the best, and we certainly don't need to have every kind of recreational activity, but the ones we do have to be, like Art said, they have to be maintained. You can't have courts, we've had bee problems down at the courts, we've had, we haven't had new nets forever. Honestly, and I took pictures of the courts, our first tennis tournament, because I said, I've never seen this. I mean, the grass was so high on the edges, and we were having people in from all over the state to play tennis. And I was appalled, and I sent it to the town council,
The
through
grass
Sherry.
got cut.
Huh?
The grass got taken care of for, the
You did do it after the fact. I took pictures
what do you mean
prior
after
to.
the fact?
After the fact, when I asked you to do it, you guys took care of it. But what, I took pictures first to say,
Oh, okay.
is this the way we wanna appear?
Well, yeah, yeah, we got it done for the tournament, but
It's just, it's a patch, you know, you just don't have the funds.
no.
I have a
it-
question on the tennis, cause the schools do use it.
Yeah.
I mean, do we work with them ever? I mean, how do they handle the girls softball? I was appalled that we had the girls walking up to softball fields in the middle school when there was money for it.
Yep.
I don't have a tennis or softball player for that matter, but are the courts safe? Like, that's
Yeah.
my first thing is,
Yeah.
if they're not safe, that's a problem, and,
I just think that it's a big problem,
The
period.
way,
Oh, yeah,
the way the
that too.
town's set up though, we're user funded, right? Soccer pays for its nets,
Right,
baseball pays for its bats and balls and
Right.
bases and all that. And
But
we
the
could be
schools are
like
using it.
Derry, right? We're 140,000 a year. We have been around that for 10 years, 20 years. Derry's millions of dollars. So town's got to figure out which model do you want to be.
right.
And quite honestly, having the clubs do things, they actually can use their own money, like out at West Road or at Laffer, and actually do better than what a town may do.
And that can be a
Because
s-
our facilities are better than other towns when we have the clubs to take care of them. So maybe there's a way to get some tennis supporters or a tennis club
I
together
think you're
to help
putting
do
the,
that as well.
the onus then on the residents, which you're
But that's what
taxing
all
the
the other-
residents, but
but
then
that's
you're
what all
putting
the
the
other-
onus on them to take care
But
of it.
that's what all the
We
other
don't.
groups have always done.
but we don't though. Lacrosse only pays for our field lining. We pay for paint.
But
We
you also
don't-
pay for your nets and
Yeah,
your
but
goals.
I mean, we're talking, we don't pay for the grass, we don't pay for the irrigation.
So my
And that's
hus-
what we play on, right? Like, we don't pay for that.
Yeah,
Right.
Soccer doesn't pay for the grass, soccer pays to,
right.
Well, but
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 they
over
need-
the
In the
years,
past,
they've
but-
actually paid a lot for fertilizer and
But-
grass.
But,
and
but
when the
what
town was
happened here
short.
is we set up a model in Londonderry, good, bad, or indifferent, is that the recreational sports would build and take care of the fields. The Laffer Fields up there, we put almost $1.5 million into it.
who did?
Laffer.
Okay.
There was, the first thing that the town ever put into the fields was 2 sets of lights. Because they had the funds from the,
Impact fees,
what?
impact fees.
Impact fees that they were gonna lose. But that's, it may not be the right model, but that's the one we set up. Soccer did the same thing over at West Road. The Panthers had done it in Panther Park originally. Now they're playing on the school grounds, but that's how it was set up when the town was 15,000 people.
Right, and I get that,
Yep.
but our high school program is using those courts.
Right,
They should be talking to the town and saying, with that being said, we went after businesses for lacrosse and got businesses to give us $5,000 for a scoreboard.
Yep.
There are places in town that will give money.
Right.
You have to find them or know people. I don't know if you have a board.
My husband put a new backboard in because it was so bad, and it was
And-
$700 out of
and
his
what is-
pocket to put that in,
so-
so,
Question on youth tennis.
yeah,
We just started a youth tennis program recently, or has there one?
3 or 4 years ago.
Okay,
4 years
so
ago now.
do you have a tennis board? Like they're saying parents.
No.
Well, it's very different when you have 180 kids paying to play something, 600 kids playing to pay something versus 15 or 20, right?
So the town, I feel like the town's migrating to, I mean, this is new, what Doug's doing, and he's doing a
Yes.
phenomenal job with a ton of programs all of a sudden. Wow, it's amazing, the kids are all taking advantage of it, but it has to be supported, budgeted. The maintenance for the courts have to be, I mean, you can't just run it on courts that are falling apart.
I
So,
think the biggest problem is that we have a recreation department.
we have, yeah,
We don't have a parks department.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference, and that's that next step, or that's the step that you have to take over.
Yeah.
Where, because
Well, and that's what you're
recreation, we do recreation good. You're doing tennis, I had done baseball, soccer, lacrosse. We do the recreation portion of it, and that works on the group level. What we don't have is a parks department
Right.
that has a crew that's working
Beautiful, right?
40 hours a week, going to the places and doing all the work. We've got a couple of people.
And maybe a DPW connection would
But,
be,
but that's,
that's something
can you
different.
please help us?
Absolutely.
No, that, I
No, they
mean,
wanna say
what with DPW, because they've got their own workload.
They've got their own workload.
And that's the part is, do we want to start moving or seeing if the council wants to move to a parks department where they start really looking at the fields and taking care of the
Yep.
resource. The schools will take care of themselves.
Yep,
That's over there.
that's a whole nother issue.
That's,
We can talk to the schools about. It really is. That's a whole nother
Fine.
thing.
But-
This is about the town and what.
right, because
Our one park, our 4 tiny courts, and our basketball. That's it.
And-
That's
and
all we got.
Normally,
And we
that
can't
would
take
not
care of
be bad if,
Mm.
as any other town in the whole state, the school has tennis courts.
Mm-hmm.
Elvern has how many now? 8?
We've got at least
We have a
8,
lot.
8.
6 or 8.
Redid
Most,
theirs the last
you know, Manchester Memorial has tennis courts.
I know.
Okay, if we had 6 tennis courts at the high school,
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't be here tonight, because we would have the courts,
That's where you would.
and
I
we'd
ha- I
be able
have
to
to say
shut
though,
down.
I have to say, I'm not here about tennis per se. I'm here about the town recreation and how we can move forward. I heard what you said, and I think that that's an awesome plan, to really get a look at how many people we have, what their needs are, and how are we meeting them, and how do we build in enough money to take care of what we have.
Do you want to know how? And I'm
How?
going to tell you every town rec department. I know soccer has this issue. Lacrosse does. Find people. Find parents that want to step up. Like, I have a friend on the soccer board who doesn't have a kid playing, who hasn't had a kid playing in years. I had to literally say goodbye to lacrosse because I was done. People don't step up. I mean, when it comes down to it,
I know. It's
That's
always
why.
the same people, it is.
and the
Oh, we
same
used to
people are
collect-
tired.
We used to collect $25 a parent. If you volunteered, you got it back, and people just
And
never
even
took it
then,
back.
I was awful with baseball. I'm like, here's my check. I don't like to do town cleanup.
Yes.
But you're paying somebody then, right? Like, that's, getting people involved. I actually think what Doug's doing, like, what all this rec stuff is opening people, like, oh, this is great. I
Yes.
think it's great
Yep.
to offer. I have 3 kids in 3 different, well, now 2 in the same school, but involved in a bunch of different things, and it is very interesting to go to these other towns and to their facilities and see what they have to offer. I have a daughter taking classes at Alvern. The amount of stuff they're offering that we don't,
Right.
why? I don't, well, I have an opinion, but I won't share it.
Well, so now's the time, right? Now's the time while the
Try to
master
start
plan
getting
is
some
getting
of these
done and
people
the
that
fields
are-
are being looked at.
I mean, how
Why
many kids
not
are
do it
signing up
now?
for these
Take
programs
a
and
look at
adults,
how
right?
recreation fits in.
And it may not be that much more expensive to do things or to keep up on things, you know?
Right.
Maybe we move from 140,000 to 200,000 a year, but not a million or 2 million. It's just, what's that number when we come up with the list and we do look at it? And
Right, which
some
is a
big
great
companies
great
doing it.
suggestion by Ron. I know Art and I have been talking about this since specifically when the playground issues came up earlier in the spring was, okay, this fall after summer's down, we're going to hunker down with, like Ron said, kind of list of what needs to be done, look at it, prioritize, and then start figuring out how can we go at it with this budget year and then budget years in advance. I know you're on the master plan committee. I don't know how much you're allowed to say with stuff that's
I
going
have a
on.
name tag.
Yeah, so there's information too there, but you know, as you hear this, that's as the liaison, she can pass that on to that
We
committee
haven't
as
started
well.
the rec part. We're
Right.
just doing land use.
Right.
Yep.
But I sit here and I think New Balance is going in. Well, who let them in without saying you need to donate $10,000 to our rec department to be used in this? Like, why aren't we doing that?
Well,
But again, I apologize. I think it's a great idea they donate, but that's not sustainable.
No. I
Right.
agree. But to fix, we're
But-
having all these issues. I
but-
agree.
I think they have to be built into a plan.
But they've got to be built into the budget, either,
Well, they're
Either
gonna
you
pay
do it,
250,000
or you
a year
don't
in
do it.
taxes, so
what?
They're gonna pay 250,000 a year in property taxes, so there's money coming in.
But that's what I'm saying, with her being able to listen to this, go to those meetings in the future as they discuss those things, you get to start piecing together that plan, you know, that's where it's
Right,
important.
right,
These
because-
meetings become that more critical and crucial to have that information presented and available
Right,
for
they
her
haven't
to
done a master
present as
plan
well.
Since what, 2013?
Right,
I looked,
so-
I was like,
10 years, yeah.
So that's
time. It's
citizens
time.
showing up, same thing, us talking about it, and then her going to the next level where hopefully it gets put into that next 5 to 10 year
We
plan.
had impact fees a long time ago, which got a lot of stuff for us. That was kind of our answer for a lot of years. Okay? And when somebody bought a house in town, they had to pay impact fees to the, help me here. School, police, fire,
And the recreation got it. There's a rec-
recreation, and
And somehow, way back when, we messed that up.
somebody did not do it properly, then we got a lot of stuff out of it. That's why,
The schools used it. Part of the high school was built with impact fees, and so was the middle school. And that's what we used to pay off the bills at that time, the loans. So, but I think we gotta get the town, businesses in town to go get it. But we also have to figure out that I guess what I'm saying is, I think we need a parks department.
I don't disagree.
And that would be something that is, we used to call it when I was a kid in New York, and the thing was Parks and Recreation, and they used to have about 6 or 8 trucks for the town of Brookhaven on Long Island, and we used to go out and we used to line the fields in the morning, cut the grass, do all those things, pick up the playgrounds, make sure it was all set, and that's what they did, and they would make sure that if they had to fix a field, they would, every year they would take a field out or two, rip it down, reseed it, resurface stuff, that's.
We don't have residents trying to track down, how do we do this,
we're-
where do we get the money?
No, and
we're
there's a
beyond.
lot of towns that have that too.
Yeah,
still,
but we're
right, the
beyond,
different, Parks
we
and Rec.
started out, okay? Who cut down the trees for LAFA?
Recently? Sir?
Where's Continental? Didn't
No,
they do
no,
a
no.
lot for us? Let's go back to them.
No, what I'm saying is,
No, I know.
Art and Todd Wicker cut down the trees so we can build the fields, okay? When you had Field Cleanup Day, it was a social event. Everybody showed up and they worked. Now is, can I get out of here in 45 minutes? And you're right, 50 bucks isn't
Kids'
enough.
sports have changed, right? It's
We
gone.
are, as a
travel.
community, we have
Everything's
changed.
in travel. Every community. I mean, it's gone more. My kid's on this travel elite. You know, it's that whole. I think rec sports in itself. I've had a lot of conversations with friends about this. With
What kind of a voice does recreation have with the town council and now with the master plan? Is there a good
I'm
portion
on the
of that
master plan.
You're what?
I'm on the master plan.
So does recreation have a voice in that or not?
I am a voting member.
Okay.
I am sitting at voting tomorrow for 2 hours to tell people to take the survey. I'm
Okay.
going and asking people. So, I mean, we have a voice as much as the people filling out the survey. If you want things to change, make sure you're sharing, hey, fill out this survey.
And we've had opportunities this year to present issues that have come up, and town council's been receptive to it, so, which has been,
the town
Very-
council's
very great.
cooperative. But it all comes down to the tax rate too, because they're getting hammered when taxes go up at all. So,
Yeah. And there's
the
a lot
initial
going right now.
initial plan would have to find ways to be creative with what current budget is, with what we have,
Right.
Yeah.
and allocating the revolving fund that was implemented last year as well, and how can that benefit on some of these items that might come up, and use that as the band-aids for small things, but then looking at big picture and how is that done. So that's just a matter of Art and I, we've been discussing it. We'll continue to discuss. We'll hopefully, Ron had the great suggestion next meeting to start talking about it, and if everybody comes with ideas, you can really start,
my
down.
own opinion, I think the tennis courts, the basketball court need to be scrapped and rebuilt. And it's gonna be a lot of money. I don't know, any idea on
Lot
a
of
guess,
money.
anybody?
It's $250,000 to do 2 courts.
Yep.
So it's a lot of money.
But
But
700
for 25, you can get them resurfaced and just kind of, it's just gonna make do for
We've
now.
patched
It's
2 or
the
3
last
times
5 years.
now,
Yeah.
and you don't fix,
things
I mean,
that are-
there's a hump in one of the courts that's like about like this, right by the net. You don't fix that with anything other than digging down and getting the rocks that are underneath it that have come up. That's the only way you're gonna do it. So,
And as a final note too, after, you guys discuss and you come up with a plan, I think it's vital to make that plan available to the community through the paper, give them an idea that there's something that's being worked on. Because there's more people complaining, but people don't know, and it's not transparent enough as to who the Recreation Commission is, what your plan is for the next 5 years, what your plan is for 10 years out. Just to see that, you know what, that's being worked on. So we are working on it, we're getting there. That would be my only other thought.
Well, I think we'd all agree. I mean, I think there's been a lot done with the little budget, right?
Very
Now
much
It's
so.
come time where the budget really does need to expand. I mean, we just ran through, 3 major items that have been
I
20-something
haven't
years
even got to the
old.
starter in the
Right.
pickup truck yet, so.
So, I mean, I think it's, to
Need a new
your
pickup
point,
truck.
I think we need to show the town this is why the budget needs to be bigger and why we need to perhaps bring in a Recs department or something,
Well,
recreation
I
department,
just-
something like that.
I think what's happened is inflation has increased so much. In our budget, we were like, we're treading water.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, now electricity's up, everything else is up. All the basic costs are up, just like they are for our homes. So now there's not as much there to use because it's going for electricity, it's going for water or whatever.
The town also had some spending freezes on and off for the last few years.
Yeah, but to that point, though, we do have some, like tennis is an example of something that doesn't have an organization that has money to be able to help with that. So,
Yeah,
right, it's one of
yeah,
those ones
true.
that falls through the crack because
Exactly, because
don't
like we
have
don't have
soccer,
a playground
lacrosse or
association.
exactly,
You
so-
know, we don't have a basketball court association, but those things need to be.
And
put
playground,
out
we
there.
saw what the cost of the playground were this year, just for a few pieces of equipment. I mean, we were close between $20,000 and $25,000 spent just on a few pieces of
And I mean, we're,
needed upkeep, but.
Which
we're
it-
competing with the school, trying to get school
Kindergarten.
in, kindergarten. I mean, there's a lot.
I think
there.
that's part of,
It's-
people are
it's
scared
tough.
if they vote everything in, the
There go their
taxes are gonna
taxes.
right through the roof.
And
And, but everybody's taxes are going up because the cost is, everything is going up, so
Well, you have to sell it to the community, and it has to be
you can
there
sell
has
it
to
as
be
hard as,
value,
you
know?
can sell it as hard as you want, and you can make it rosy, and
yep,
everything, but
money, you're
it
gonna
comes
vote no.
down to the bottom line, what is it gonna cost me? And that's what people are gonna say. People in this room will vote, like, we could put up, let's have a, I don't know, let's have another volleyball court or something. Yeah, it'd be great, kids will play, we'll all vote for it. But people out there are just like, they're struggling, you know, so.
And there's a lot of suggestions. There was the pool that became an indoor pool with
Oh my
other
gosh, I loved that one.
facilities inside. Then pickleball and
I think the
Splash pad
poster
now.
child is the auditorium.
Oh, my mom said that's never getting in. I've
mean-
been here since 2nd grade. She's like, I'm not.
We're, again,
Yeah.
an auditorium will never pass in Londonderry. It's just become one of those things that it's,
But you encounter, you can be like, everything's going up, but we're adding businesses and we're adding houses. So how much are those taxing the
Right.
town and the schools?
Right.
Well, numbers in the schools aren't going out of control, right? What's going on with the town? Where, because that could be
It's
the counter
priorities.
to you, right?
It's
Where is our money
priorities.
being spent? So maybe as a rec committee, we need to fight with,
Make
go to the town
ourselves a
more
priority.
and say, hey, yes, we do need fire, police and this, but is there other areas that maybe, I don't know. I'm just suggesting
No,
that.
we've done very well by
Opposite
the
of
police
that.
department and the
Get
fire
town support.
department, and now
Town
it's
support, I agree.
Rec's turn to
You
kind
have-
of clean up the town.
I mean, it's just.
But
But to your point, if we bring up that we have all things
Yeah.
that come and do that we need to, have support for.
if we take the budget we have, get the maintenance dollars up, and
Yep.
to be more appropriate, we could still do more over time, so. That's the quickest and easiest thing to do, because it's not a big vote, it's part of the budget.
But I think with what Ron said, that's how we have to go. To me, tennis and basketball courts are a priority right now, but somebody could bring up something else, and I'm saying, oh yeah, that's more important, I don't think having a splash pad is more important.
Really?
But there could be something else that's more important. I think we need to sit down and figure out what the heck we want to.
How do we present the budget? Is it a bottom line type of budget we present them?
I'm basically told that,
No, I'm not, how do you, I'm not, how do
oh,
you?
I presented, it's a line item.
No, what I like, what I'm thinking, I'm just being, maybe talking out the wrong side of my body. What I'd like to see is, what do we spend on recreation? The summer programs, the adult programs, what do we spend on that number? That's X amount. What do
Yeah.
we spend on the fields? Separate. And treat it almost as two separate budgets to look at it. Then we start approaching that this one here may have to increase because. And let's face it, it's, what you don't want to do with the budget is do this. You know, that's why we did a lot of things, and Bob Lincoln used to say, okay, let's, you know, that whatever the number was, let's go right across here. So it's the same 6 cents or 8 cents per thousand as you go here, and you just increase it a little bit. But I think we need to kind of explain it in two separate fields, because our rec budget, you're doing a great job. There's a lot of programs and people are giving a lot of stuff there. No question about it. I think now we need to show that the parks budget is got to be tweaked a little bit. It doesn't have this.
So the program budget, just so you know, it's separate. Revolving fund, it's not gonna be part of the general fund when it's
Okay.
voted upon. It's self-funded through the
but-
program.
but we
So
still
everything
fund-
is coded in that budget for the line items that they are. So it is there, it's broken down. It's just a matter of how do we look at that? Where now, because we have these other options, how do we get creative with those line items in the budget? And there are
Right,
ways to
but if
do
it
that.
becomes you know, the impact is putting them all together and showing how much you're spending, not what the bottom line of the budget is. Because how much are you spending for the summer program? That's not self-funded.
The summer program, well, that is in the budget. The summer program is currently.
Right.
Everything else in terms of the revolving fund, I mean, I have that documentation. I'll have 1 year of information by next month's meeting. I requested it this week, so.
So the
So we'll know
adult
how much
program-
came in as well as how much has gone out for programming, and we're very much in the black in the revolving fund, so.
Agreed, but it's self-funding on there. I guess I gotta see the numbers here, because I don't believe that the funds are spent on the recreation, on the parks. And I'll call that. I know.
It's not separated by parts, it's separated,
Can we? I mean,
this is, what I do is I go in with the line, I sit down with the finance director. There's going to be a directive, as in the past, I would expect. I don't know if it's gonna happen this year. You gotta keep it within a certain percentage. And I go in and say, the first thing I will say is, I'm having a hard time getting help here. We're paying help $14.50. We gotta get that up so people don't leave us. That's our number one, because we're not gonna have any workers.
Right.
You know, and then I'll go through what we need, but there isn't anything specific for parts. It's like, there's a general fund, then there's like maintenance and repair and those in those things.
I guess I think we should be looking at how we set it up for presentation to show where we're going. Okay? And that could be part of it. I believe that we need to show that we have the maintenance, I don't know if it's a maintenance trust or where we are now, but that's what we used to have. And, you know, when I was on the school board, we used to say, okay, we have the maintenance trust account, and here are the 5 things that we said we're gonna do in the budget. And in September, we came back and said, here are the 5 things we did that we told you we were gonna do. That's how we spent the money. It's only used for that. Philosophically, I got problems with the way the town sets up their maintenance trust accounts or evolving accounts.
But you gotta make sure you put in what you took out.
Right, and.
What you do
and
at that
sno-
next town
sno-
meeting.
Snow is an O and M cost, it's not a maintenance trust, and it's a 5-year, I always considered it a 5-year payback. It's gotta last 5 years. So if I'm going in there and paying for snow removal, that's not the way I would consider doing it.
We have used that for lawnmowers, machinery that's broken down that has not as long a lifespan as I'd like, but at least 5 years. So it doesn't go for, it's, the last thing we used the whole thing because for the, whatever you,
Drive for
the
the,
drive,
Right.
because we're gonna be in huge trouble.
But I think that's what we need to look at, and maybe that needs to start increasing to cover some of the other stuff that we're looking at.
Absolutely, I could not agree with you anymore, Ron. And it's just a matter, but that has to be voted on,
Yes,
so, I mean, I'd love to see it at 50,000, but probably never get approved, but.
I still
I
say
think
go
what
after
was it
some
last year,
businesses with the
15?
building of the maintenance.
but again, it gets up there in several incremental steps. And
Yep.
that's
I
what our
don't think
budget's
it's
been.
ever changed. It's, you gotta go out there and sell it. The answer is, no, I'm not gonna vote for it. The answer is, damn it, you told me a reason I have to vote for it.
Right?
Right, I mean, if you think about it, you wanna have nice facilities, why do people move to towns? Schools, obviously, but, you want the town to offer stuff. You know, you want the activities and the places to go play tennis, play
Yep.
basketball, skateboard, softball, baseball, whatever. So that's how you sell it. Hey, you've enjoyed this for how many years? Your children have enjoyed this.
But
This
the
is to keep
problem
it
with
going.
that is the demographics in town have changed dramatically with the affordable elderly housing.
Yeah, but
The
that's what I
demographics and-
mean though. If you like the amount of money those houses are paying in taxes is more than I'm paying. So
I
like,
get it.
where is it going?
That's why our budget should be able to go up without an issue. You've got all the tax
You-
money coming in.
But it's,
That's where is it going?
people aren't gonna, people are paying big amounts of money for their taxes with, because they've bought a $700,000 home, and then it's, we used to be able to get things passed a lot easier, and going and
Do
talking,
you
not.
need some numbers and some number crunching and some research done
No.
by?
No, we need people to get out there and talk to people to vote. You know,
So-
like,
so
if
you need
you,
that.
like for
I mean, we can
pickleball,
help
they
you with
didn't go
that.
they didn't go and knock on people's doors. And they didn't have teas, they didn't have that kind of thing. And that's how we used to get things passed. I mean, we go,
I can tell you who has the best chocolate chip cookies.
you know,
I can make good.
No, I'm teasing. We used to, that's how we sold to schools.
Yeah, I was involved in that, in the kindergarten.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of those, and
Teas.
I went with my neighbors and did that.
But it's hard-
That's the way to do it.
Yes.
it's hard to get people to do those things now.
You can't do them in a lot of the
I
55
don't think
pluses
so.
either. You're not allowed to.
Just
so
like, you know what, everybody
My
said
parents
they
live in
couldn't
one. You
get the,
can't go knock on doors.
they couldn't get the tennis team back, the tennis team. It's not that hard, guys. You throw a table in the high school, and you just tell people that there's a boys' tennis team, and guess what? We got 14 kids the first year. So it's not that hard, you just gotta ask, and you gotta know how to ask. So we have to have, first of all, you gotta have the support and the numbers. You gotta have the number crunching, you gotta compare it to the other towns, you gotta let them know what we expect Londonderry to look like. And then when we can give them some kind of a number and some kind of a picture and some kind of, something, this is what it's gonna cost to do that.
And it still comes down to people, oh no, just because they're like, how is this being spent? Which I think goes to your point of, we wanted this money for this, we did it, here you go. Like that transparency of, this is what we did.
Well, I think Ron said it. We just gotta go through the list of all the
Yeah,
things,
I
come up
agree.
with things that
Yeah.
are falling
And the
apart after 20
priority.
years, and this is why we need the budget to be increased.
Exactly.
Throw tennis courts in, and we'll
Yeah.
Okay. We covered the budget in this conversation.
Thank you, Roberta.
thank you.
Okay.
You're all set.
Thank you.
Equipment,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Nice job.
Let me know if, you need some help.
Thank you very much.
Pull some
Okay.
people together.
We're gonna do the updates now?
no, I'm not done, equipment.
Oh, you have more equipment?
Yeah, the starter broke in the pickup truck.
How much is this?
I don't have a clue. We haven't got the bill yet, but I thought it'd be real, cause like,
Which pickup truck?
the towns, the recreations.
No, city.
I used to crawl under them and I would change them, go pick it up for like 30 or 40 bucks.
Oh, yeah,
Right, now they're like 350 bucks,
Everything's more expensive.
you know, so,
and smaller,
and yeah,
Yeah.
like you could put,
And you can't really crawl onto your cars anymore.
yeah.
so, okay,
That was in Sid's truck, the
Yeah.
starter one?
yeah.
Oh, this is where it'd be great to have a mechanic thing in school.
And now we're up to the update.
Sweet, I need to
Okay,
I used to go to
Sorry.
Manchester to do that.
Are you ready, Doug?
I'm ready. All right. So I don't know if it was discussed at the last meeting. I know that was Old Home Day week, so I know we didn't have many people here, but we were about to wrap up or did wrap up summer programming. So I just want to throw a thank you out to our staff. They did an awesome job at both camps. So it was nice seeing the summer playground camp first time through. Really energetic staff. Dawn does a great job over there. So does Zach, keeping everybody in line, and a lot of kids this year too. So they were managing a lot of heads, and looked like a great summer over there. As well as my Voyager camp, I had 2 staff members. They were there on all the trips, did a great job. We had 68 total kids, again, in that program throughout the entire summer. Did a lot of different trips. Weather was mostly cooperative. I think I only had one postponement. Then we were able to get that off the ground to water country, ironically. So yeah, Old Home Day I'll jump into a little bit later because we did, our department was very much involved with that this year. But the fall brochure is out. Got out about mid-August, so registrations were opened up. So deadlines are coming up, programs are filling up. As I'm kind of rounding doing the first lap through the first year here through. So some programs that were here last year were the intro to track and our 9 to 14 track and field. Those numbers have already seen big increases. I've got over 35 kids total in those 2 track programs. Dodgeball, always big hit. That's got consistent numbers coming in. We're running the tennis in the parks that we did with the USTA this summer as well this fall with Ramon Chakravarti coming back and helping. That's a 3-week, twice-a-week program at the tennis courts. Those programs are almost full at this point in time. And then youth-wise, I also added a floor hockey program, so that's seeing decent numbers too. That starts up next Monday. So that's what we've got going on with early fall for youth programming. We've got adult programs this being offered as well, including Ultimate Frisbee League, flag football program, dates to be determined on that. Adult dodgeball, because there was a group of kickballers this year that really wanted to do it, so those numbers were high. So we're hoping to see if that one gets off and running. We'll see if they can make it through the 5 weeks, but. And then pickleball, which we were at St. Thomas for the summer. We are continuing all the way through the fall into December, actually. So we're over there on Thursdays now. We have an instructional and an intermediate advanced, so 2 different sessions, and they're both full with 25, 26 people in each session. So we've got 50 plus people over there with volunteer instructors helping out with the newer people. I checked that out last week too. So a lot of smiling faces as people that were clearly learning the sport, but I'm sure that's going to continue to grow. So already in talks with St. Thomas over there about how we kind of keep that rolling through, because we know it's difficult to get school space over here, so for that group, so at least they'll have an area to play. St. Thomas has been gracious enough to do that for other communities, but at Londonderry now as well.
Is that indoor or outdoor?
That's indoor, yes, yep. So it's great in the summer too because they have air conditioning, so it helps with all the months. So as things get discussed on that. So I don't know if there's any questions on fall programming. All right. Like I said, Old Home Day, we were busy with that, Tristan Hilden and I, as well as the rest of the committee and members of the town. It was a great collaborative event, nice to be part of, eyes on, first year through. But it was got a couple things that I was a little more focused on this year was the color run that took place up at LAFA. Did get postponed due to the only day it did rain was of course that evening. So we moved it to the Monday before school started. We originally had about 140 people registered for that, and we ended up with 50 on the postponement date. Which was probably for the space that we had was a good number. 140 would have been a lot of people for the quarter-mile loop that we had done, but. I don't know if people have seen photos of that, but definitely a photogenic event with all the different color and everything that was happening. And LAFA helped, Mike O'Donnell and his crew stepped up to help us out that night too, because we weren't able to get the vendors we originally had, so they opened their concession stand, which was really great. So there was still something for people to enjoy after the race. We also, thanks to Art, we kind of were able to assemble a town hall softball team at the Old Home Day this year, but it was mostly made up of recreation and rec counselors, so we
Wow.
had some youth.
The good players were from recreation.
You said that on the mic, not me. No, it was a great group.
Best players were
It was great. We had finance, we had IT, we had John Trottier up in engineering, so and recreation. So it was a fun group. We practiced once and we had a good time. A lot of smiling faces. We almost beat Fire. We brought them to extra innings, so I think that's a win for this year.
so close.
So close. So Bill Sullivan helped too, actually. So I forgot we even had maintenance helping,
Yep,
rec
and
maintenance helping
and,
too.
There was only one injury.
Right.
Your
Yeah.
son
Your son.
pulled a little bit of a hammy jogging.
So other than that, yeah, Old Home Day went well. Obviously, big event on Saturday. Fireworks were great. Food vendors, all of that. So, like I said, it's nice. I think it's nice that our department's involved with that too. To be able to give updates and insight prior to. I don't think anybody probably doesn't have questions, but busy week. And then the other thing I see, it kind of jumps into the new business, but playground. I just want to let everybody know that everything is installed over there. The new climbers, the new rockers installed. We know the fence is all set. Dave Wally and his DPW crew did all the hydro seeding we saw up there, which I know Art will discuss as well. But aesthetically, I think it looks great. It's now up to safety standards through all of the efforts that were put in from volunteers as well as equipment we were able to order. Again, thanks to the town council with the ARPA funds, we were able to tap into to get that done because it wasn't cheap. But that's something I think that gives us a leg up at least on that the playground for short-term goals, getting those things done. Now we can start looking at the long-term goals with facilities, but also the playground space in general. But
How much did the tractor on the spring cost? Do you remember?
it was part of the separate line item. I'd have to check. That was the most expensive piece of equipment. Was the rocker. So, but kids do notice. I even brought my child by who noticed right away that we had new stuff there. So he's only 3, so I think that's a good sign. But feedback's been very positive online with people being happy that is done as well. So when you stand there in the middle, it is nice, when it's kind of the only town-owned playground to see something that looks that nice aesthetically, especially with the wood chips and everything kind of together. So, and the new fence and all that. So something I think department, commission, everybody should be proud of, to be honest. So that's all I've got, unless there's any questions.
So,
Hydro seeded.
yeah, the hydro
picnic
seeding,
area.
the other part of that is the DPW went in, we had talked to them about it because as you come out, which way is that? The first exit you come to when you're going out that way, kids were parking their pickup trucks in the mud, and then when they're taking off and they're throwing stuff on the tennis courts. And so I talked to Dave, and he had a plan, and he sent his guys up there, and they did a great job. Cut down trees,
Leveled it all out.
leveled it all out,
Brought in a bunch of
and-
loom.
brought in a bunch of loom. I did have somebody, student at the high school who wanted to do a Eagle Scout project, and I mentioned to him doing picnic tables, because I knew that was gonna happen. So I thought he could make the picnic tables, and it'd be a great addition up there, but he did not.
And the picnic table that's on the other side.
He's in rough shape.
Yeah.
Just a thought on that. Could the high school woodshop kids do that? As like a project? And my son's in woodshop. That's the only reason I'm asking. Like, if the Eagle Scout is a great idea, but if it didn't fall through, have we thought about asking them as a project?
I worked closely with the,
He's a new
shop
teacher.
classes at the high school.
He's only been there 2 years. This guy.
yeah, I worked closely with those kids.
No.
I mean, it's an option. There's other
It's an
Oh, I
option.
didn't know.
that
I
we
was just
could-
thinking.
we could
It's
do
an
as well.
option, but
Give back.
I would prefer to go with the metal base,
Oh. So
And
go to
then
the medals
the-
class.
and I've worked closely with those children also. So we're being taped. I'm not sure I trust it coming from a kid, if a kid's welding and stuff, and much
Well,
as
if
you
you
check
want
it.
metal base,
Well,
but
we
if
have,
you
we
want
have to
wood-
buy ADA,
It's gotta- yeah.
metal,
What?
at work, they have to buy ADA ones, so the end extends out past the seat, and then they can't tip over, like a regular picnic table, if everybody sits on one side, they flip
Just saying,
over,
like,
so that the metal
Auburn
ones are
builds
all.
sheds. Step it up.
We could look into that.
I mean, in Eagle Scout, you're asking a kid to do it too.
Well, no, here they come to us, and they need a project.
Right, I'm just saying,
So-
it's still a kid.
Yes, it is.
I see where you're going, I just disagree with you.
It's just, if we're
Other
responsible,
towns can do it, why can't we?
are you sure other towns are having
My
kids?
brother bought his shed from somebody in Albert and they made it.
Are you
for
sure
him.
other towns are having kids build picnic tables?
I just feel like there's, how do you build something? You use plans, right? Why wouldn't, you can't buy ADA plans to have a project? I'm not saying one kid builds it, I'm saying the class with the instructor.
And they also have a curriculum they have to follow too, so that gets difficult. If a kid's
No, I
doing his
just- it was
project,
just an
they get
option.
to do a project in woods too. You know, and usually they're building very nice tables or, you know, different things. And those are very, very nice, but for a beginning class to do it,
Oh, I'm not
I
saying
don't think
beginning,
I
I'm
trust it,
just
but
thinking,
then you'd have to get a kid that would wanna do that. And usually Eagle Scouts come through, they've done all sorts of stuff. And they have to supervise and they have to have people there that know what they're doing. You know, they put up, bat houses 5, 6 years ago that are still up. You know,
I think it's probably something that just needs to be discussed from an insurance standpoint. So whether it's the school and kind of who takes the onus, whereas a Eagle Scout would come
not a
in.
kid that goes to Londonderry for construction, but a couple Londonderry kids go to other schools, do they need to do a project? I don't know, it just
No, I
is a
don't think
thought.
they do.
But
It's
like,
like if they go to MST, they're going to build a house with the instructor. The advanced kids are. So their curriculum is pretty tight.
right, it would just be a matter of figuring out liability, because as Eagle Scout comes in, they kind of fall under what the town's offering. They become a volunteer employed in a sense for the town, so they'd be doing that. So then they kind of fall under our realm, whereas the school would just be a matter of figuring out how that's done. So, but definitely, there's definitely options of how we could look into getting that done.
The
over
metal ones have worked best for us, the big, I don't know how, tubes are this big. Those have worked best, the wooden, the all wooden ones get broken. So you buy those pieces and,
But even the metal ones, they're plastic dipped and they're corrosion.
I mean, I'd
resistant.
rather spend
They're
money on
expensive now. I mean, it's
fixing
$1,200.
a tennis court over another.
so I'm not
or a
saying
new
go out and
picnic
spend money
table,
on,
sorry.
I am not saying spend money on on picnic tables. I was just a little disappointed that we didn't get an Eagle Scout to do it. So,
Okay.
the irrigation at West Road, we went over. Doug handled the adult fall and winter activities. And scheduling meeting, I got a call, I think we've talked about this before. There was problems with kids' basketball last year, and they had some problems with just making a mess, not vandalism, but just things that typically shouldn't happen. So we're gonna have a meeting with the basketball group before they start. And my suggestion will be that they put somebody at each site in charge of the area. And somebody there to tell kids if they're messing around on the stage at Matthew Thornton, no, you gotta get off the stage. You know, and bring the kid to the parents or whatever. Because there was, you know, toilets overflowed and that kind of stuff, parents dropping kids off and kids weren't supervised. So I suggested we had the meeting. We used to have field scheduling meetings all the time, but with the number of fields we haven't had to do that. You know, so, but I think we do at this point, so if she decides to have it, I will attend it and I'll keep you posted, and I'm sure LBC will be fine with it.
They sent out an email last year when stuff was going on and basically said, we're gonna get shut down and your kids aren't gonna play.
Yeah,
So watch
and,
them.
and that's not me, that's not recreation.
Nope,
That's gonna be the school district. If things get ruined, it's gonna cost LBC. You know, if some kid throws a ball up at a light, kicks the ball up and breaks a light, then that group is responsible for that light. And that's not gonna be, you know, things of that nature. So, I think they just need somebody there. Hey, guys, knock it off, go sit down. That's all. And it's not hard. I think anybody, you know, Bill probably did it when he was involved with basketball. I did it, you did it, and
we
it's,
had to do it with lacrosse,
Yeah.
when we rented indoor space.
Yep.
We had to tell parents to stop dropping off kids. If they don't drop them an hour early, you're to stay with them.
Six Flags just passed the rule that if a kid is, I think 15 and under, they have to leave the park at 4 PM if they don't have an adult with them.
Well, even the football games, they send out, I mean, it still happens, but
Yeah.
middle school kids, they're supposed to have an adult there.
Hmm.
Cause they'll just get dropped off and run.
So
Stupid.
that's all that I have. You know, on long-range planning will be on the agenda, and
Actually, I could probably bring the old one.
Let's bring the old one as a starting point, and then I would suggest everyone take 15, 20 minutes and think about, based on your experience, what areas that you think that we need to work on.
And part of what we did last time involved the master plan too, because we were participants in that
So,
twice.
I've only been to one master plan meeting, because I found, the first one that I was told about was the day before and I couldn't make it. From what I understand from the last meeting is there'll be 3 phases of like surveys going out, so they build it in sections. And the first one is land use, recreation is its own one. We have a meeting next, I don't know if I can make it, but next Thursday. I'll ask though when they plan on starting the recreation stuff so that we're actually ready for that. I don't know if there's any, I mean, I heard what was said here tonight, but, I don't know what's gonna come out of the plan. And the survey, from what I gathered, is there's, what is her title? Person who put out the survey, and if you guys all know this already, I apologize for repeating it, but the survey, again, from what I understand, it came out from Sylvia, but she's not a town employee. She is Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission is who's running it in a way. You know, they made the survey, they're helping like giving these to put up around town. So I don't know how they do the rec survey and what's put in it.
Yeah, so some of the initial recreation, I spoke with Sylvia, some of that, I worked with her on getting some of those initial questions in
Questions,
there
okay.
and working them for this community more so. But they'll be adapted from there as well with the committee, so.
Anybody have anything else they'd like to bring up? Okay, motion to adjourn? Second?
Yep.
Okay.
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.